This is KRok Cast, the podcast where music and perspectives collide.
I'm Anne, a music lover who's the ultimate fan.
And I'm Kelly, a professional musician. Join us as we dive into the world of the Rose and other Korean and Asian rock bands.
Sometimes we'll agree, sometimes we'll wildly disagree, but what's guaranteed is a passionate, hilarious, and unfiltered conversation about the music that unites us and the bands that inspire us. Everybody, we're back with another edition of KRok Recommends. And KRok Recommends, everyone, is where Kelly and I break down artists that are kind of on our radar and we want all of you to check out. So we have two artists today. I'm going to present one, and Kelly, you have really exciting. Kelly, you have one that our viewers and our listeners ask us so much. Give us more female rock artists, right?
Yes.
And you've got a great band that you're going to talk about today. So I'm going to start off with an artist that is named El Capitxn. And let me tell you, viewers and listeners, you know this artist, but you may not know that you know this artist. If you know songs from IU and BTS and August D and TXT and Psy, then you know El Capitxn because he has worked more behind the scenes as a songwriter and producer for some of these incredible artists and has created some of the top hits in K-pop. But he's now coming back to the forefront as a artist himself. And that is where he started. He was born Jang Yi-jung, and he is a South Korean K-pop artist, songwriter, and producer. And he was discovered actually in 2012 on a Korean show called The Great Birth Season 2. And then following that, he debuted pretty quickly in 2013 with a K-pop boy group called History. And this group was actually on the same label as IU, who is like the princess of K-pop. And he will later do collaborations with IU, both as a singing artist and then also as a writer and producer. But the group didn't last too long. To be honest, Kelly, they were only around for about 4 years. So in 2017, the group disbanded. And it was also around this time that he started to have, to be honest, a very strange thing start to happen to him. You know, he's someone that grew up since age 4 just loving to sing. And he has been so proud of his talent as a singer. And in History, he was considered, I think, like the main vocalist. And he just slowly started to actually lose his ability to sing. And it just got worse and worse and worse. Around 2015-16, he met Suga from BTS. And so those two became really, really close friends. They're Dongup Chingus, they're 93 liners. And, you know, when this started happening to him, believe it or not, Suga, and at that time, it's not like BTS is the mega group, you know, with who have millions and millions of dollars like they do today. Suga paid out of his own pocket for all of El Capitxn's treatment because he really wanted him to try to figure out what was going on. And interestingly enough, he actually never figured it out. And this has not just affected his ability to sing, Kelly, but it's actually also affected his ability to speak. And so I have a clip from an interview from 2023 when El Capitxn appeared on Suga's show, The Seshwata Show, where he's going to talk about this experience. Let's watch it.
이게 진짜 처음 얘기하는 건데, 이런 밖에서. 이제 어느 순간부터 이제 무대 위에서 노래를 불러야 되는데 그러니까 노래가 잘 안 되는 거야.
아, 그런 느낌 있지. 목이 좀 칼칼하고.
항상 해오던 루틴 같은 곡 그런 거를 부르는데 컨트롤이 안 돼. 그래서 이상하다. 계속 막 음이 뒤집어질 것 같은 느낌이 들고 단순히 뭐 그때는 컨디션의 문제겠지 하고 이제 계속 넘겼는데 시간이 지날수록 더 불편해지면서 이제 말할 때까지 갑자기 느껴지더라고. 그러니까 내가 처음 딱 느꼈던 게 이제 회사 안에 복도 끝에 사장님이 지나가는데 안녕하세요 이렇게 인사를 해야 되잖아. 근데 그 말이 안 나오는 거야. 너무 충격적인 거야.
예를 들면 이제 트라우마면 트라우마.
그러니까 어느 병원을 가봐도 이 원인을 찾아낸 적이 없어. 그래서 뭐 해결법도 없고 아직까지도 정확한 거는 이제 목의 문제는 아니고 신경적인 그런 느낌이라.
So what's your kind of thought, Kelly, as a professional singer? If like, so like, can you imagine what he must have gone through just losing this ability to sing? Like what's your kind of reaction to that?
It's quite a scary thought, to be perfectly honest, waking up one day and your voice just isn't there. I mean, it does happen to people, and it's horrific, and especially when that's your livelihood, it is the scariest thing you could ever consider. It's very interesting, though, that they think it's neurological. And
Right.
yeah,
Right.
so that, I mean, could be thousands of things. And as to how that actually works, whether it is a pathways thing, weirdly enough, that does happen. There's pathway neurological issues with hearing as well, so it can very definitely work with the voice box too. But yeah, I mean, some of it could be psychological as well. I mean, because being in
Right.
that level of stress is unbelievable. So yeah, it happens. I mean, you see it in different parts of the world as well, and especially with children and things like that. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I know. I find it so fascinating, and you know, I've been watching some interviews that he's done, and he talks about this time in his life was just the lowest point
Mm,
for him. You know, Suga really helped him out in terms of bringing him on to Hybe. And so Suga realized, hey, dude, like you're actually a good songwriter. like you know, you're a great singer, but you're actually a good songwriter. So why don't you come join Big Hit, join Hybe? And that's what he did. And I think, you know, I really admire what he did in terms of
mm,
not losing his ability to sing, which was his passion, which was his
yeah.
dream, to kind of hold him back. You know, I think just being able to achieve what he's done behind the scenes with some of those major artists that I described, um, you know, he's really solidified himself, I think, in as a premier
Yeah.
songwriter and producer in the K-pop industry, even forming a production collective called Vendors. But most recently, I think what's really interesting was he's really decided now to kind of shift his career back and really try to be an artist again. Um, and he ventured on a world tour, which was interesting, Kelly. He did not have an album out. He did not
Yeah,
even
that's what I
release.
thought when you said, "Oh, I'm going to go
Oh,
and see El
yeah.
Capitan," and I was a bit like, "Where's the music?"
Where's the music? I know, it was so crazy, and for him to be able to get backing in terms
Yeah.
of being able to sell. I mean, he's been to Europe, he's been to the United States, he's been to South America. He really truly has done a world tour, and this tour is called Who Killed Elle? And it's so interesting, Kelly. It's so different. The experience was
Mm,
different than anything I have gone to in terms of a concert and a music experience up to now. It's deeply autobiographical. It centers on themes of his identity, of loss, and of like rebirth, right? And so it's really kind of drawing from this personal experience of losing his voice, and now what he's trying to do is just rebuild his career. Um, and so, yeah, rather than kind of this traditional concert, it's really designed, it's very cinematic, it's narrative driven. It blends this DJ performance. So he's got some guys that are with him, kind of his hype guys, and live instrumentation. So he does play the bass. along with it. So it kind of creates this hybrid format that's really kind of blending these roots of him as a producer, as a DJ, and also then as a music artist. So the storyline that kind of flows through is this symbolic portrayal of his death, this death of his former self, and then this like resurrection of this kind of new artist, you know, that he is looking to achieve now. He did release on March 26 a new single. It's called Breaking Through. This is sung by Taehyun from TXT and American singer songwriter Jeremy Zucker. So let's wrap up this overview with a clip of that official music video.
I get so caught inside of my head, I just can't think of starting again. It's true, darling, it's you. Under the sunlight, tracing your skin, waves from the ocean tumbling in, so blue. It's all for you.
All right, I love that melody. I just love that. So that's El Capitan. I think it'd be interesting kind of to continue to explore kind of what he does. I'm just kind of interested to see, you know, if he's going to have more music coming out besides this single. So we're going to keep an eye on him. Kelly, why don't you take us into our second group, Rolling Quartz? Excited to hear about this band.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about Rolling Quartz, who are absolutely bloody fantastic. They are a 5-piece, all-female, balls to the wall rock band. There's no other way of describing it. That's exactly what they are. They just do really good hard rock. I mean, some people, let's say it's like, you know, rock and roll type of thing. They're really good. These ladies are seriously talented. They are powerhouses of what they do, and they're an interesting mix. It's an interesting bunch, and I learned about them through one of my male friends who was like, "You need to listen to these. The guitarist is really, really good." And I was like, "Oh yeah. I know the type of female bands that you normally follow." I'm thinking, yeah, okay, yeah, I know exactly what these are like. And then actually I listened to them and was like, okay, I'll let him off for once. For once, these girls are really, really good. So Rolling Quartz formed in 2019 and they debuted in 2020 under Rolling Star Entertainment. Originally, they were 2 separate bands. So you'd got Rolling Girls, which was Ari and RM, basically as a duo. And then Rose Quartz was the other 3 members. And when they joined, they did the typical thing. They did what every single rock, indie, metal band in Seoul apparently seems to do, and that is they go and work the clubs of Hyundai. And this is exactly what happened. And bless them, they started to gain some traction. They started to get a following. People were coming to see them. And then the pandemic hit. Perfectly timed. So it literally threw a curveball in everything that we're doing. But actually, in a way, that helped them sort of break the mold and allowed them to get an audience a little bit further, because they sort of like went out into social media world, and that actually allowed them to get this international following gaining traction. So I'll just run through the bands. So we've got Arim on bass, then we have Hyungjun on guitar, we have Ari on guitar as well, we have Jaehyung on the vocals, and then we have Yeonjeon on the drums. Now, as I said, these ladies are all seriously talented in their own rights. They are masters of their instruments. And when I say that, I don't mean it lightly. They are unbelievably talented ladies. So the first single was Blaze, and that was released in December 2020. And this was one of those things that allowed them to move forward. But obviously, we're talking around pandemic time, so it really did skew things for them. So they were quite clever, and they went down the route of YouTube and doing covers. And we'll get onto that one though in a minute or two, because that is kind of a separate story in itself. They have literally just kept working and working and working. They don't stop. They have a discography which is quite mind-blowing, actually, for the length of time that they've been around. And in 2022, the 6-track EP Fighting, which was basically the first one, reached the top 5 in the US iTunes. And that is the first Korean indie band to do it.
That is a huge accomplishment.
That's
wow.
huge. That is a huge accomplishment.
Do you think that goes into what you said, where they really focused on that social media presence and YouTube? And so I think we've seen how that can really take these artists international.
I think so. And I think that's what they did. And they were just so clever with how they did it as well. It was a true sort of point of, we're really talented musicians and we're capable of doing this. Whereas it wasn't just of, here's our version of a song and it kind of sounds a bit like us.
Yeah.
I mean, they actually managed to do all of this thing, all of these tracks, note for note, and they did them perfectly. So yeah, it's so impressive. They followed up Fighting with the Hybrid EP in 2022 and the Victory album in 2024. And they released this year a new single called Roll the Dice, which we're going to play a little clip of now, with Sai Young, and that was produced by Yoon Joo Hun.
Roll the dice, take a chance tonight. 미로 속에 갇혔잖아. 운명대로 끝을 태워가. 난 멈추지 않아 지금. Silver dreams in the endless night.闇を越えて光を探す不思議な声。筋はただの幻へ過ぎない。
I feel like I didn't realize that it was like so flashy. It's like we're gonna have to put like a may cause
Yeah, may cause epileptic fit.
I was like, I didn't even notice that
bit,
when I first clicked that. May cause epilepsy.
So as I was saying, one of the things that the ladies did was heavy use of YouTube and covers. When I say some of these covers are excellent, I'm not joking. So they did Good Night by Dreamcatcher, and I mean, that is honestly such an amazing cover. They did Misery Business by Paramore. Now, I love Paramore. Anybody who is attempting to take on Hayley Williams and actually halfway succeeded at it is doing well. But I mean, they did.
Yeah, is that
damn good?
That's
version.
like you're saying that would be a hard cover
That
to truly
is-
like say.
That is a hard ass song to sing.
Yes.
It's quick, it's high, it's all over the place, but it is done to perfection, and it's so good. And I think,
But honestly, given that clip though, Kelly, like of Roll the Dice, I can kind of see that they could carry a song.
Oh, I mean,
like
musically
Misery
they're
Business.
fantastic, but I mean,
Yeah.
vocally, I mean, her range is fantastic, and she's such a little powerhouse as well. She's like this little tiny pocket powerhouse, and I don't know where it comes from, but it just comes out, and it's just, yeah, no, it's kind of amazing to see and to listen to. You know, I love a girl band when it's done well, and when they've got something interesting to say, and these girls have. They're not. They're not what I would refer to as male fodder. Sounds terrible to say, but what tends to happen with a lot of women in bands, especially if it's an all-girl band, it just becomes kind of sexualized. And
Right.
kind of forgotten that they're actually really bloody talented musicians, and the mass majority of the time they're better than the men, because you have to be better than the men to actually make
I know.
any
I think of
footprint
that.
whatsoever at all.
I think of the great conversation we had with 18 Fevers and
Yeah,
Christmas, the lead of that, and some of the stuff she talked about, right? Of always being told, "Oh, you play
you
guitar
play
well
really
for a
well for a
girl."
girl. Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
It is. It is the most. It's kind of shitty. It really is. I mean, from personal experience, it's shitty. So, and I mean, I'm a singer, so I
Yeah.
don't even have to do the route of like, oh, you're a really good drummer for a girl type of thing.
Right.
I can at least push some of that off. But yeah, and some of these covers are amazing. They do a version of Dynamite by BTS, which is just
Oh,
chef's
man. You
kiss.
know I gotta check that out.
So good. Bad Romance by Lady Gaga. That is, again, a really fantastic rock version of it. And then one of my favourites, because we all know I'm a little My Chemical Romance girl, and they do Helena, and that is amazing too. There's so many to choose from. So if you want to go down a YouTube rabbit hole, that's what I suggest. Just go and have a look at all of the selection of covers and just enjoy yourself, because it's just fun. They are completely and utterly self-sufficient as a band as well. So when they go on tour, they don't take makeup artists and all of that malarkey. They do it all themselves, because we're ladies. It's what ladies do. They don't need somebody to do it for them. They have the best fandom name in the world ever, which I find highly hilarious, because the mass majority of their audience is male. May I just point this out? It is a high ratio of men that tend to go and see them. Their fandom is called Diadem. I just kind of want all the guys to be wearing little diadem tiaras now, and yeah.
I
I'm
love
kind
it.
of
I
upset
love
that
it.
that's not like the main type of merch. So the ladies will be out on tour. I can tell you now, if you want to go and see them, they have just completed a tour of Europe. They are prolific when it comes to touring. So to give you a rough idea, they did the Rock and Roll Paradise tour in 2023. That was their first European tour. They followed it up with Fearless in 2024. Then they went to Australia with Stand Up Australia in 2024. They did Stand Up Europe and USA in 2025. And they've just finished the My Turn Europe tour literally a couple of weeks ago. And I just missed them in Paris, and it's slightly annoying because I really wanted to go and see them.
Mm.
So America, if you want to see them, just keep your eye out. I'm 100% sure they will possibly be over with you again this year, once they've released some more music.
I love that. Well, Kelly, thanks for bringing us that amazing band. I think we're going to be following Rolling Quartz a little more too. So keep an eye on KRok Recommends and the KRok Cast IG accounts for more information about El Capitan and Rolling Quartz. All right, everybody. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.